Institute of Art and Design UK, Ms. Sharma has worked with leading organizations including Ritu Kumar, Rediffusion Pioneer, J. Walter Thompson, Reckitt, Edelman, and Monks Expo Capital, handling renowned brands such as Dettol, Airtel, Nestle, and Starbucks. With a strong focus on culture and heritage, Ms. Sharma has led branding and visitor experience projects for several iconic heritage sites, including Aguada Fort, Bekal Fort, and Aguada Jail in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism and the Archaeological Survey of India. Currently, through worship strategy, Ms. Sharma leads strategic initiatives in education and social impact, developing arts-led life skills programs for adolescents in Goa in partnership with Reckitt, the Directorate of Education, and the Government of Goa. It is our privilege to have Ms. Sharma with us today, and we extend a warm welcome as our distinguished judge.
It is an honor to welcome a person who understands the power of critical thinking, words, and impactful narratives. Please welcome Mr. Alexander Monish Barboza. Mr. Barboza is a highly independent and respected journalist, author, and editor who has spent years shaping the media landscapes here in Goa. He has served as the editor of the Herald, the assistant resident editor of the Indian version of the Times of India, and the assistant editor of the Goa Today magazine. Through his sharp journalism, he has closely analyzed and documented the politics, history, and vibrant culture here in Goa. Beyond his career in classrooms, Mr. Barboza is an accomplished author with 6 acclaimed books. His works ranging from deep political insights in Goa to cultural aspects like Goan coastal sunsets delve into Goa's unique identity and post-liberation history. He is also a translator and short story writer, capturing the very essence of Goan life. We are incredibly thankful for your presence here with us today. Students, kindly clap your hands to welcome our judges.
Your opponents. Kindly stand in front of the table. Kindly stand in front of the table. Front. So we can see you. As per protocol, the proposition team will first extend greetings to every member of the proposition team. Every member. Thank you. Kindly be seated. So let us embrace this exchange of ideas, this battle of thoughts, as we explore the topic at hand. Today's youth are indifferent to social problems. The stage is set and the intellectual minds are ready. Let the debate begin. I invite the members of the proposition team to come forward and put forth their argument. May I invite Shayant to kindly put forth his argument.
Good morning, dear Father Principal, respected teachers, esteemed judges, honorable moderators, distinguished audience, and my fellow debaters. I, Shayan Dor, from Class 12 Science A, stands firmly in favor of the motion, today's youth is indifferent to social problems. Before anyone misunderstands my stand, let me make myself clear. I don't mean that every young person is indifferent, but I do mean that as a generation and as a majority, We have become more comfortable discussing social issues than acting on them. We like to call ourselves the generation of change. We literally have information at our fingertips. We know about pollution, poverty, social injustice, gender inequality, discrimination, and so many other social problems. Yet knowledge alone has not translated into responsibility. We complain about pollution, yet litter our own streets. We demand equality, yet allow sexism and racism to take place right in front of our eyes every single day. We criticize corruption, yet elect corrupt politicians just because they belong to our favorite political party. If social problems truly mattered to us, we would act on them and not just talk about them. Because a generation that ignores suffering today will one day ignore their own child's future. And this motion stands until today's youth chooses to act over just showing apathy. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
I now call the next speaker on the proposition lead, Adam John, to put forth his views.
I'm Alan Sanjeev John, and I'd like to start my speech with a small statistic. A survey conducted in 2015 shows that the global voter turnout has decreased from 77% in the 1980s to merely 67% in the 2010s. This shows a clear change and brings me to the root cause of the problem: the expiration date of care. A worthy opposition will argue that the youth deeply care about today's social injustice. But we must ask a very simple question. Does this concern outlast the social media trends which highlight these issues? Well, I'd say not. And this is because we treat social justice as a mere source of entertainment, where we only care and talk about it if it is shocking enough to keep us entertained. Also, posting about social injustice has given us a false sense of satisfaction, where we believe that we are fulfilling our civic duties. But in actuality, we are just making ourselves look better on a phone screen. Today's youth also uses talking about social injustice as a way of gaining new followers, which further incentivizes them to talk more about it and not act on it. And this is exactly where the indifference arises. Because problems such as poverty and educational inequality cannot be solved through temporary bursts of awareness. It requires years' worth of dedication. When a generation treats profound human struggle as a temporary social media trend, the long-term work is bound to be undone. We just cannot solve structural and generational problems with a focus that has a built-in expiration date. Thank you.
I now call Diana Pereira to put forth her argument.
Hi, I'm Diana and I'd like to start off with a simple analogy. If you yourself are drowning, how can you save someone else from drowning? You can't. And that exactly is the situation of the youth in India today. The youth are indifferent, but not by choice. They are forced to be indifferent because of the countless outrages they witness every single day. Annually, 13,000 to 14,000 students die by suicide in India. Every day, there are 74 murders, 1,200 crimes against women, 190 cyber crimes reported, which comes to about 16,000 cases daily. That's about 5.88 million cases every single year. The youth aren't indifferent because they lack empathy. They obviously care. The youth are simply desensitized by the sheer number of problems they have to witness every single day. There are about 1.3 billion youth in the world. Out of these 1.3 billion, how many actually have the privilege, time and safety to go out on the front lines and fight against social injustice? Only a few thousand. In a country where speaking up and seeking for justice gets you a tag of an anti-national. In a country where the Chief Justice himself calls the youth cockroaches and parasites, how are the youth expected not to feel indifference? Indifference is the only way to stay sane in a country that's in crisis every single day. Thank you.
And now Ms. Divya Shetty to give us a summary of the debate topic.
I'm Divya, and as the final speaker of the proposition, I'm here not to introduce any new arguments, but I'm here to show that the arguments presented by our team lead to one undeniable conclusion. We express our outrage with comments, sympathy with comments, and support with hashtags, but when real-life activism is needed, the response is often silence. This is not activism. This is emotional tourism. We visit the problem for 5 seconds and then go with the when it costs us anything. The voter count today has decreased. This shows that the growing indifference amongst the youth and the pressing of social issues. As my teammate said, if you yourself are drowning, how can you save another person from drowning? Exactly. And so instead of asking the youth why they are indifferent, why can't we ask them what will it take for them to be committed again? Indifference is not always lack of care. It is the logical result of the environment that just treats you like mere catchphrases. When the society bombards us with crisis after crisis, indifference is not always lack of compassion. It can be a psychological shield. This doesn't mean that the youth are indifferent or don't care. This just means that the youth have learned how to survive in a society where problems seem endless. Ultimately, youth indifference is just a defense mechanism caused by an unsupported society. Thank you.
I now invite the opposition team to put forth their arguments. I call upon on stage Mr. Zendon D'Souza.
Good morning, respected Father, Principal Tamatul Cardozo, esteemed judges, respected teachers, the audience, the respected moderator, and my fellow debaters. Myself, Zendon D'Souza from class 11 Science A, and today I'm opposing the topic, Are today's youth indifferent to social problems? A lie repeated many times may sound convincing, but it doesn't change into a truth. Today, my worthy opponents have made us believe that the generation that is shaping tomorrow's future are indifferent to social problems. This is not merely an exaggeration, but a complete accusation against our generation. Before we go on to this, we must ask my worthy opponents a much more important question. That is, where is the evidence? Because greater the accusation, more important is the proof required. Now, the youth and the young generation have gone through numerous campaigns, environmental campaigns, and participated in programs like the NCC, YRC, NSS, and millions of youths are encouraged to change the environmental problems that exist here. So I don't really think the youth are indifferent to the problems where they help out in the little time that they have. They try to help out in many ways. They might speak differently, but their commitment is undeniable. Never confuse a generation that speaks differently with a generation that doesn't care. Today, me and my team are going to put forward some important evidences and the way our generation is trying to take a big step forward to create a better society. Because this generation are the greatest forces to make inventions and innovations to solve real world problems. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Danish, and I will be speaking on why people think that today's youth are indifferent. I feel that it's because there's a difference in what today's generation think civic action is and what older generations believe civic action is. Critics often look for traditional markers of care, like attending meetings, joining political parties, voting in high numbers, and they mistake their absence for apathy. People often say that youth have abandoned politics. I say no. I feel that they have abandoned broken institutions, a government that repeatedly fails us with neat paper leaks and all kinds of things. And they also sometimes feel ignored and excluded by elderly political elites. This drives them to channel their energy into issue-based activism. And my next point is there are some critics that believe that you have to march physically in a protest, or you have to march physically in a protest, or you have to do community service. But no, and they often relate this with social media and scrolling. But what looks like scrolling is actually how many youths they source evidence for real world problems like corruption, and they also use it as a platform to generate millions of dollars, lakhs of rupees, or money as mutual aid for in global crises. Sometimes youth, we will occasionally tune out to focus on things like our mental health and so on. And critics often think this is a very selfish reason. But in reality, we should always also think in the youth's perspective. We are being we are being told new news every day about new problems, inflation, something or the other. And this causes information burnout. And this causes us to plug out just for a little time as a psychological survival mechanism. So I would say that the youth are not disillusioned. They are not indifferent. They are disillusioned. They are building tools of the future because the old ones have failed. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I am Praniti Handrale, and today I would like to present some evidence to what my fellow debaters said. Okay, so let's start with a very recent real world example. You know, last year there was this Nepal Gen Z movement, right in 2025. Why do we know about this movement? Because of the infamous social media ban which it imposed on the youth of Nepal. But do we know the real reason why this movement was started by the Gen Zs or the youth of Nepal? The real reason is the high-level political corruption which took place in Nepal. Okay, so this movement happened. What happened after the movement? It led to the complete collapse of the Nepal government, and a new interim government was formed with the first female Prime Minister of Nepal appointed as its head. Okay, this was one example where youth performed really well and they could really bring a change in society. Second, I would like to reflect upon a very old case but a very impactful case. That is the Nirbhaya case. Who doesn't know about that case, right? It took place in 2012.
when a 23-year-old physiotherapy student was brutally gang raped and assaulted in a moving bus. What happened after that? This incident shook the entire nation. And what happened? The young people, the students came out in large numbers on the streets to protest for women justice. And what was the outcome of this movement? The outcome was the Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013. It also led to the setting up of the Justice Verma Committee, which actually imposed stricter punishments for those who committed sexual offences. This was another case. Okay, I would like to stop.
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone present here. I am, as a final speaker for my side, I would like to conclude and talk about all the arguments and clear all our misunderstandings. So, my team has clearly said that we are not onlookers. We are active problem solvers. We solve the problems using faster, newer, and specified means like digital mobilization. For example, we can raise funds using digital mobilization for disaster management. Then we can also change our culture by talking about equality, by talking about insecurities, and talking about all the things that everyone needs support for this. So, I just also want to talk about that mainly the question comes that today's youth is very much distracted by our screens. But let me ask you one question, that is today's youth using screen as distraction? So, is it like using modern tools for solving problems, is it really a problem? No. For example, if there is a fire on the house, so you do not criticize a person who is calling the fire brigade on a phone just because they did not went to the fire station on foot. Instead, you thank them. So they also, our beloved opponents wants us that if we don't have a team, we don't have a committee, meetings and paper flyovers, we do not care. We actually care, but in a different manner. So I would like to conclude by saying that today's in 21st century, we cannot adopt methods of 20th century and solve our problems. We need to be adapted over time. And if in the older generations, if they face a problem, they used to bring a committee and then solve it. But our youth is very much different. We basically watch out the problems and then solve it as fast as possible. Thank you.
Round, the rebuttal round. 5 minutes per team are allotted. Each team will have an opportunity to ask 2 questions within its 5-minute rebuttal window. A sub-question for question 1 and question 2 is permitted, but all in all, you can ask only 2 fresh set of questions.
60% of all of those were related to social media. A survey conducted in Karnataka by the Child Fund, they recorded that 1 in every 6 children talk to online strangers, and 7% of them send personal photos and videos to them. And the social media is also reshaping our minds. For example, 61% of every urban child spends an approximate, if not more, of 3 hours a day on their mobile phones. That is approximately 1095 hours, and to show you the scale, it's 45 days. It's like more than a month wasted. And the consequences are visible. 30% report symptoms of depression, more than 30 anxiety, and more than 43% show high stress. And the most surprising of all, 85% of Indian children
have been reported to experience cyberbullying, and that is the highest rate in the world. Thank you.
Green lung of Mumbai, it's like 1,300 hectares of forest, and there was supposed to be a metal shed to be built there. And the students, they formed human chains and they staged protests. And every year, when the government, every time there was a new election, they kept going back and they didn't allow the government to cut down the forest. Nothing. They did not care about which party supported what. Over the years, they forced every single local government to change their plans just to appease the youth voters.
Yes, the opposition may ask a second question. Or a sub-question to the first. Your choice.
I have a follow-up question to what Danish said. So you all said that there are these trends which go viral, and then within like some days the trend is over, right? But I would like to tell you all about some of the hashtags which went viral. Though they went viral, but they brought a lot of change in today's society. Let me name some of them. First one is Me Too. Me Too was a hashtag which was popularized for the women who suffered from sexual violence in workplaces or anywhere else, even in schools and all the places. Again, another hashtag that is Black Lives Matter, a very famous one. We all know about it. It was a huge success, the same hashtag. We have another one that is Fridays for Future. This was a movement started by Greta Thunberg, a Sweden. She was also a youth. When she was 15 years old, this hashtag went viral in 2018.
Kindly ask a pointed question.
Okay, so I will just give you some examples. Okay, so that was my question. If you all say that trends go viral and then they are abandoned, then that's not the truth. So that was a follow-up question for the first one. Also, I have another question for you all.
Pardon me, when you ask a question, yes, kindly allow the team to answer the question. Please. Kindly ask your question now. You have any questions left? Yes, please answer them and give them time to speak. We all need to answer. Have you answered? You need to answer. It was like a statement. Could you frame it into a question for me, please? Thank you.
So what we are trying to say is that trends, the youth do not abandon something just like a trend. We do not abandon it just like that. There are many real life examples to back our claim.
My worthy opponents, you guys are exactly proving our points that trends die after some time. Let me give you real life examples. The Nirbhaya case, it died after some time. The article rape case, it died after some time. Okay? Then the Epstein files, it trended for some time, then it died. The Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Palestine war, all of it trended for some time and then it died. So you are exactly proving our point. Can I answer?
Okay, so you spoke. Of course, the trends are always forgotten. Forget about trends. Even like the laws which were framed, the changes which the movements brought into the society have a greater impact. Like the Nirbhaya case, as I explained in my introductory speech, I told that it brought change into law, into our judicial system. That is what is important. That is the impact we are speaking about.
You may speak, but at the moment she has the right to speak, and then you can speak. Kindly continue, please.
My worthy opponents, I hope you know that in India, every 16 minutes a woman is raped. The only case getting attention is the Nirbhaya case. What about the 90 women that get raped every single day?
15-year-old boy was a part of the gang rape who gang raped Nirbhaya, and he got away with just some juvenile therapy sessions and no time in prison.
But that is the flaw of the law. What are we supposed to? Our topic is that if our youth indifferent to social problems, we aren't indifferent. We protested. We did our job.
Let us first define what indifference is. It is knowing about the fact and not solving the problem. What you said is you all protested your part, but did it make any change? Except the Nirbhaya case, all the other rape cases are still going. One in every 16 minutes. All these are just small exceptions. Why don't you all talk about the majority instead?
So you saying that this generation, they are not focusing on all these things, but you are focusing just on you. But in the previous generation also, these incidents have also happened. So why you are not talking that the previous generation also did these things, did these incidents and everything? And also, I just want to say that all the this is not the generation that that rapes and everything is happening. It is happening from a very long time.
I think we are forgetting that the very name of our topic is today's youth is indifferent to social topics. So why are we even talking about previous generations right now?
Yes, please go ahead. Continue. Kindly note, students of standard 11, in a rebuttal, the sub-questions can be more than one, right?
Nature is not a bad thing. It's the peak of empathy and intellect in humans. Thank you.
The debate from the opposition, I don't know if they stand my ground as firmly as possible, clear as glass, saying that genetic engineering has definitely been a threat to the future of humanity. Thank you.
Of the first round, we shall now go on to the second round, the rebuttal round, where every team will get 5 minutes. Each team will have opportunity to ask 2 questions within 5 minutes. We shall now have a 1-minute joint preparation time allotted to both teams to frame questions prior to rebuttal. Your time starts now.
So my question is that
I request the members to kindly stand before you ask the question, and also the members of the proposition team to stand before you answer. Thank you.
my question is that when we are altering a gene of an organism, how do we know what it's going to lead to? We know for a fact that altering a gene, whether it is the dodo bird or whether it's been any other animal, it has led to its extinction. We have no guarantee or permission to do it, not from the future generation. We could lead to the extinction of humanity. So the question is, what guarantee do we have, and who will take responsibility to end all mankind?
So good morning to everyone and my fellow debaters. You have raised concerns about what will happen in the future. But at the present, we have numbers with us. We have statistics with us. So according to official sources and data, whichever person has used genetic engineering, maybe to modify or cure their diseases, there's no error that has been affected to their body. Every error that happened in genetic engineering was before 2005 when it was less modified. Now we are in the more advanced world. And what we mentioned about hypothetical, like how you all mentioned zombie humans.
Do you have a follow-up question? Okay, so in one of your speeches, you all mentioned that GMOs can cure diabetes and blindness and disabilities, right? So, GMOs genetically modified organisms. Yeah, so in that, you also can cure blindness. Okay, it can cure to some extent. But when genetically modified embryos, and in that case, when you change the gene, even a little bit of mutations can cause something and lead something to like this. Yeah, these are the eyes, and there were worse pictures which we did not want to get into it because they were just pretty bad. And if genetic modifications can lead to this, why are we doing that? Desired traits, when we try to, I request the team member to kindly answer this. Why are we doing this genetic modifications? Okay, there are like some cases where it has worked, but can you take such risks for the thing?
Okay, so firstly, genetic engineering scientists have come up with protocols and regulations, and they are heavily strict. Secondly, as I mentioned 4 times, genetic editing is prohibited and heavily illegal. And thirdly, you stated about defects, right? Every discovery till now has defects. Name one discovery that does not have a defect. AI has a defect. Indeed, AI is free right now. So anyone can use it for a bad purpose. So life is not balanced. Everything has a positive and negative side. But till now, genetic engineering has 90% success rate, according to UNESCO.
Do you have a follow-up question to that?
Temporarily, back in 1930s and 40s. But like I said, right now, it has caused so much increase in type 2 diabetes. It has even been more common than type 1 diabetes. And let's talk about alternative solutions. The golden thread in China. A particular herb that almost cures like pre-diabetes in matter of fact. So why can't we be preventive instead of finding already an answer to a question that has been, deadly? Why find a vaccine to cancer? Why do we prevent cancer? Why are we waiting for cancer or diabetes to arrive? We have the cure already. It's more like a monopoly.
Do you have a follow-up question?
That diabetes does not come up, that we have no insulin problems like that.
Okay, thank you, students. I will now invite, the time is up. I now invite the proposition team to put forth their second question to the opposition team.
Pesticide spraying by 700 million kilograms. By opposing them, are you advocating that farmers return spraying massive amounts of toxic chemicals onto food and soil? Also, I noticed that you mentioned in America and Europe that pesticide use has increased, right? Well, in India, thanks to GMOs, pesticide use, thanks to BT crops, pesticide use has decreased by 37%. So, are you saying that we should reject these BT crops and, use pesticides instead and encourage the farmers to use pesticides instead?
Could you please summarize your question? You went over like 3 lines.
I request the proposition team to kindly ask the question.
You said how we are using excess pesticides now, right? Well, this is about that. The pesticides use has increased by 700 million kilograms. So, by using gene editing with pesticide resistant crops, are you saying the farmers should continue to use pesticides or should use plants that are already resistant? Thanks to gene editing.
Let me be clear. You are saying we require gene editing seeds, and it has decreased pesticides. Yes. If I look into this here, we have terminator seeds. Are you aware of that? No, I'm explaining. Terminator seeds basically, after producing yield once, they stop producing crops. So it doesn't. Saving seeds rather is more beneficial for farmers. It's more economically viable to them too.
Do you have a follow-up question to that?
I was talking about pesticide. I was talking about pesticide use. Like pesticide use has increased. That's what I was talking about. So pesticide use has increased, and thanks to genetically modified crops, thanks to breeding crops that we have recently made in India, it has decreased. So should we stop using breeding crops and going back to using pesticides? Won't that harm the soil? That's what I was saying.
I have another question. If genetically engineered seeds, you have mentioned wheat crops, yes? Wheat seeds crops? Yeah. There are other seeds as well, and they still use for pesticides. What's your take on that?
I request the opposition team to answer the question and not ask the question.
You all spoke about ethics and responsibility in genetic engineering. My question is, who decides these ethics and responsibilities? Who draws these boundaries that cannot be crossed or should not be crossed?
Good morning, sir. These protocols, regulations, they all are given by all the organizations under WHO, such as UNESCO, UN, and they are very strict. So it is very helpful for genetic engineering.
Yeah, those are that are already existing. And the very fact that we are having a debate on this is because there are certain boundaries that are being crossed or should not be crossed. So if the scientific community decided on the WHO, so if the scientific community decides, it's going to always decide in its favor. It's always want to cross that line, it's want to cross that boundary. So is that a good thing?
That is actually an important concern, and for that reason, researchers and scientists have come up with protocols, regulations, and at the same time we are doing maximum beneficial use of genetic engineering. All the harmful effects have mostly taken place before 2005. After 2005, the only negative effect that took place was illegally doing gene editing, and that person was arrested. After that, there was no case of a bad effect of genetic engineering. Maybe, as the opposition said, it may cause a defect during the process of doing the genetic engineering. But for that reason, we have many negative and positive sides of every development. So even genetic engineering is one of those developments. Now, for example, if a plane crashes, we don't ban planes. If a car crashes, we don't ban cars. Instead, we check the black box of the plane. We put traffic rules for cars. We are using the same application for genetic engineering.
An inherited disease, would refusing it be more ethical?
So that's again a possibility. As my team already mentioned, it's a gamble. We could maybe cure it, but there's more chance that we do something far worse to human gene. And as we know, it's not reversible. We might actually put a stain on our entire race. We might accidentally make a species an extinct species. That is why it's probably the most dangerous thing to ever employ on Earth. So that's the answer.
So you all said if genetic engineering is truly a blessing, where do you draw the ethical line? And if you support editing genes, so to cure diseases, as you have said, so would you also support editing genes to choose intelligence, appearance, and aesthetic body? If not, who decides where the science will stop?
Synthetic gene editing is banned. You can't, you can't change your eye color, your intelligence, all that stuff with genetic engineering. It's illegal. Also, repeat the question.
I asked you that if you support editing genes to cure diseases, so would you also support editing genes to choose intelligence, appearance, and aesthetic body? If not, who decides where science will stop?
Yeah, they are, you're asking who decides, right? She mentioned the UN, the national government and everything, but I'd like to talk about the regulations here for gene editing. So, yeah, so as she said, you can't, what? Yeah, it's prohibited, and also for gene editing itself, there are some contingency plans just in case it starts going crazy. So one of them is synthetic oxytrophy. What they do is they put the editor gene in a certain environment, so that just in case it starts going crazy, it starts acting crazy, we can stop supplying a certain chemical that keeps them alive and that kills them. A second solution is called kill switches. So the gene that is modified, it has a certain kill switch. We can give it a certain nutrient that kills it.
Your concern is misuse. Why advocate against the technology instead of advocating for stronger ethical regulations and oversight?
On that being said, considering all the failures that have happened in the past, what guarantee does this give that we will have permanent solutions to the table when it has widely demonstrated only problems to its solutions and created a loophole again and again and again?
Follow-up question to that? Not a separate question, a follow-up question. You may ask.
You said that it's a loophole and again the same process, but for the solution, there is not always an effect. There are cases when the solution, genetic engineering has happened, there is success and it has saved lives. So why you are against it instead of being for the stronger ethical regulations?
So see, there are cases when the genetic modifications have failed. So you're saying that it's okay for some people to die and then other people it's fine. So why are you risking it? We can't risk just some people. If they die, it's fine. Next generations, the genetic modifications will improve and it will work. We can't just sacrifice these people and the organisms, right?
I request both the classes, 11th Arts.
Lighting up the road ahead. Your dream lives deep inside. It's stronger than you ever said. If today feels tough and your heart begins to shake, don't be scared, don't forget, you've got what it takes. Don't give up your dream. Don't let your spirit fall. Chasing dreams.